Hi folks, we are Sophie and Philippe, two professional chefs and regenerative farmers. Currently we're setting up our second regenerative farm in central Portugal, where we grow food for our local community and share our knowledge both on the land and in the kitchen. On this channel we take you along on the farm's development and we show you how we grow, cook and preserve nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, delicious food. In a time where the food we're eating is literally killing us, the most powerful and impactful action one could take is to consume nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, clean food. Let's grow it, let's cook it, let's do it. Hi folks, and welcome back to another episode. In today's episode we are going to be making something that most people still buy in the store, and I would love to see that changed. If you want to eat less high fructose corn syrup, which is basically sugar cocaine made out of corn, and you don't want to eat as many preservatives, then making your own condiments at home is a real good change in your household, because you'll be eating something that is considered quite unhealthy in a healthier way. So let's do that, and let's make some mayonnaise, ketchup and mustard. Alright, we got inspired by one of our YouTube comments because we made smoked paprika powder in one of our previous videos, and somebody commented, "Ooh, I would love to make smoked ketchup." So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna get one of our last batches of pasty tomatoes, so these are very meaty ones, and we're gonna smoke a quantity of them, not all of them because they don't fit in the smoker currently. So we're gonna heavily smoke part of them, and then we're gonna use the rest of them and make some delicious ketchup. Let's go. For this batch we use 2.4 kilograms of ripe sauce tomatoes, about 8 cloves of garlic, 500 grams of onions, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground cloves, and half a teaspoon of allspice, 250 grams of sugar, and 2 times 250 ml of apple cider vinegar, which will be introduced in different stages of the recipe. Then they all fell on the floor. The cold smoke timer spiral was filled with apple wood dust, enough to smoke the tomatoes for about 3 hours. You can go a lot longer here, depending on how smoky you like things. Alright, so it's been about 3 hours that the tomatoes have been smoking. Let's go get them out and finish this ketchup. They look very much the same, but they smell delicious and smoky. We're gonna pop these into the pan. Before adding in the smoked tomatoes, we started off by introducing all ingredients into a high saucepan. The onions, garlic, crushed cloves, cinnamon and ground allspice. Then the sugar and vinegar, and lastly the smoked tomatoes. Alright, so now we're going to let this simmer. And we have to be careful because it has the sugar inside, so we're really going to have to stir this often so that it doesn't stick to the pan. When the liquid has almost disappeared, you can take it off the stove and start blending. Use a high-speed blender for this process, and be careful to use a cloth and not burn yourself. You can also choose to let the whole cool down completely if you want before blending. The blending should be done in batches to ensure a very smooth result. The ketchup then can be introduced into a heavy bottom pot. Once everything is blended, you can now reintroduce it to low heat on the stove, and you should add the second gush of 250 ml of vinegar. And also 2 heaped teaspoons of salt. Mix while slowly simmering. Be careful, this is quite a dangerous stage as it will erupt as a volcano until you reach the final consistency, and then it's time to bottle and water bathe. Alright guys, that is it for the ketchup. Heinz ain't got nothing on us, okay? So now we're going to pop this into the glass jars and we're going to water bathe it for about 20 minutes. Make sure there's about 1 inch, about 2 to 3 centimeters of water above the lid. Tighten it well, 15 minutes underwater, and then they can go onto your shelf in your pantry. These probably won't last super long. What a sound effect. For this ketchup to be shelf stable after water bathing, it should have a pH lower than 4, which if you've tinkered with the recipe a little is always good to check. Take them out and let them cool down upside down to create a better vacuum seal. So it's actually possible to make your own mustard at home. There are many benefits to making your own mustard instead of buying it at the store. One of them being is that you're actually going to get the probiotic properties because you're going to ferment the seed, meaning that you're going to get the lactobacilli active, and those actually support gut health. Another reason, of course, is that it will contain no preservatives, coloring and flavoring, and that is always a plus. So why would you want to make your own mustard at home? And should you be doing it with your homegrown seed? The first answer to the question should be yes, you should make your own mustard, because that way you're getting a probiotic kick, because you're getting some lactobacilli from the fermentation process that has to take place to make this delicious homemade mustard. And the second answer should be absolutely not. Don't try to grow your own mustard seed. You need 100 square meters of mustard plants in order to produce like 1 kilo of mustard seeds. And if you're anything like our household and you actually like mustard, you're going to go through one of these every other 2 weeks or so. So that will be way too much superfish. So just get yourself some nice organic mustard seed from the store and make your own mustard with it. To make 1 jar of about 350 milliliters of mustard, you start off with 150 grams of light mustard seeds and 120 grams of brown mustard seeds. Once the seeds are mixed together, add in 1 teaspoon of salt and a dash of white wine vinegar, and grate in 1 clove of garlic. Add water until the jar is full and stir well. Now close the jar, but not too tightly, as you're going to let it ferment and air needs to be able to escape. Let it ferment for 4 days. So this is day 4 of this process. I've shown you the first stage, now we're going on to the second stage. You know it's done when it smells very nice and acidic and mustardy, and the consistency is as so. So now I'm going to do the final seasoning and taste test. I'm going to put 1/3 of this into a little mixing bowl. I'm going to add a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of turmeric, and then we're going to use the magic wand. Alright, so this is the time in which you can season your mustard to your own liking. You could add more salt at this point, or maybe some honey, or even more vinegar if you like it more tart. So you can really make it your own. I like to blitz part of it up and then bring the whole mustard grain in again and mix that all around and give it a good taste. I just like that consistency better than only the grain. Last but not least, just a tiny hint of sweetness. We're going to do about 1 tablespoon of sugar, brown sugar. All right, let's reintroduce it into the bowl, label it, and it can go in the fridge. You should store your homemade mustard in the fridge. It's better like that. And just make small batches as you go. As you can tell, it's not much work. So you can just make kilo jars and keep them in your fridge, for instance. Mustard, done. Mayonnaise. I'm Dutch, that means we eat a lot of mayonnaise. I know Americans, I'm sorry, we eat it with fries, okay? We eat it with fries. I know you find it disgusting. I cannot think of a more delicious thing myself. So today I thought it would be fun to show you two different types of mayonnaise. That's four. Two different types of mayonnaise. The first one is going to be a mayonnaise made with only yolks, and the second one is going to be a mayonnaise only made with whites. Now, why am I showing you this? First off, to show you the difference in terms of texture and also how much oil you can actually add to it in these two different recipes. So how much you can get, how much bang for your buck, I mean. And secondly, sometimes you have recipes that just ask for a yolk or 2 egg yolks, and then you're left with 2 egg whites, and this is just a great way to then use your egg whites. A 3-yolk mayonnaise takes about 20 ml of white wine vinegar and 1 heaped teaspoon of salt. Because eggs are high in lectins, they emulsify easily with oil. We use olive oil at home because we try to eat as little refined seed oils as possible, but for a more neutral flavored, deodorized sunflower oil would also be great. Slowly add in the olive oil while blending. Make sure to not stop blending during the pouring and slowly bring the hand wand mixer up. So funnily enough, the more oil you add, actually the thicker the mayonnaise gets. Now usually the maximum capacity of about 1 egg is 240 ml or something. Depends a little bit on the temperature of the room, the size of the egg, so it's not a precise science. It's more a question of which texture do you like. So if you think it's still too runny, it's starting to thicken up but it's still too wobbly, add more oil and it will get stiffer as you go. The key is to pull it up slowly and to not just be moving it around a lot. I make it in these wide mouth jars so I can just emulsify straight into the container where I'm going to keep it. We're moving straight onto the white one. I'm not going to clean the blitzer because it basically has egg and oil on it, and that's what we're going to be using here. But if you're really squeamish about it and you want a perfectly white one, then I'm not stopping you from cleaning your little magic wand, alright? The egg white mayonnaise is much lighter in color and takes on a different firmness when oil is emulsified into it. I added the same amount of salt, but twice the amount of vinegar, so this is a much tartar mayonnaise. Sometimes it might be useful to add a dash of water if things get too thick. The method is exactly the same as with the yolk mayonnaise. The mayonnaise should start to thicken once you have about 1/3 of the oil in. This mayonnaise took much more olive oil, I would say about 450 milliliters for sure. 2 types of mayo, one very acidic and fluffy, good to make bases for like seafood. If you're eating shrimp, for instance, add a bit of garlic in there, maybe even a spritz of lemon juice, and then you have a great sauce. This one is very sweet and creamy and thick, great with French fries. Now let's celebrate these freshly made condiments with Dutch lunch, or what Philippe would call no lunch at all. Let's eat some broodjes, aka sandwiches, for lunch. No offense to all those hot lunchers out there, but as a Dutch one, I really do enjoy my broodje every now and then. And that concludes another one of our cooking episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed. Know that all the recipes are up on our website as always. See you next week, the Farming Chefs. Peace out.